Oh, I'm live. Okay. Hey, it did not take me by surprise this time. I was watching. Got a few things to discuss tonight, and then we're going to talk about uh, Super Bowl ads. I guess the first thing we need to discuss is what happened on the Pennsylvania Ohio border, and that was a train derailment that led to a chemical spill that has evidently poisoned a lot of people and animals. And the government is not doing hardly anything about it. Uh, now, we'll say Governor DeWine, or whatever his name is, of Ohio, is sending people in to look in on it. But you got people that saying they getting sick. You got people saying their pets are getting sick. You got people saying their pets are dying. You got other animals getting sick and dying. This is going to be a problem. Get it solved. No one's talking about it because everybody was talking about the papers found in Biden's house that he's had ever since going way back to when he was a senator. And then they stopped talking about that and started talking about Balloon Gate, and now everybody shut up. Tells me there's something more going on here than meets the eye. So you Republicans and you Democrats need to get on the ball, get them some money so they can fix their stuff up. Uh, Spending ceiling has been in the news. The Republicans, are putting a ceiling on the spending. Biden is having a fit because he's afraid that we're going to default on our loans. Number one, we should not have that many loans. Number two, you need to be like a family. A family can only spend so much money because they only make so much money. And that leads me to another topic off this topic, so I'm going to chase that rabbit some because it's my place. I can do anything I want to. Uh, our money is our money. It's not the government's money. Government don't work for it. We do. The government does come in and take it for what they call taxes, which to me is nothing but legalized thievery. We pay for stuff we don't need. We pay for stuff that we don't want to pay for. Now you give me a choice. You give me a choice of what I want to support. Hey, I'll pay as many taxes as you want me to. But I don't want to support building mechanical squirrels or building exercise equipment for squid or building a bridge out in the middle of nowhere where there ain't no roads. That's, to me, that is stupid. That's a waste of money. We got other things that we need to worry about. We need to upgrade our military because evidently what we got isn't any good. For 5 or 6 years, we've had these balloons floating over America, and we just now discovered them. Why? We're supposed to have one of the best militaries in the world, and we can't find a freaking balloon that's flying over our space. We can't shoot the balloon down. Oh no, we can't shoot the balloon down because you may fall on somebody or somebody's property. We can't have that. Well, they're spying on us. We can have that, but we can't have it landing on somebody's property. Stupid. Republicans are stupid. Democrats are stupid. Like the whole government is stupid these days. Ain't like it was back in the days, back in Ronald Reagan's days. I wasn't particularly a fan of Ronald Reagan, but I will say that the Democrats and the Republicans worked together. Wasn't like it is now. You got all these ultra blue Democrats, you got all these ultra red Republicans, and they refuse to negotiate on anything. When you pass a bill and you got two-party system, you don't get everything you want. You give and let them have some, and you have some. You don't just run it through. So, number one, bill shouldn't be that high. Number two, you should stay within your means. Don't go over your means. That's why we are trillions of dollars in debt. We're not going to be able to pay in our lifetime. I doubt whether our grandkids are going to be able to pay in their lifetime. But you know what? We still spend the money and we get further and further in debt. Sooner or later, somebody's going to call in the debt. And when they do, that's going to create a world crisis because all of our economies are linked together. We have what's known as MAD in the way the economies are built. What MAD means is now nobody's going to be upset with it. There's going to be a few upset. That's not what it means. MAD means mutual assured destruction. MAD comes from the nuclear world. It means that Russia had enough bombs to destroy us, and we have enough bombs to destroy them. So if we both fired and on each other, there would be mutually assured destruction. And that's what kept us from going to nuclear war. One of the things. Our economies are now mad. We have built each other's economies in our to rely on each other, and if one goes down, the whole system's going to go down. Why do you think that they don't want us to drill for oil anymore? It's because we're importing oil, and if we stop importing oil, then that's going to hurt the economies of the world. Getting back to the original thought, stay within your spending means. Do not get so far in debt that we have to rely on other people. I will say Trump is not a favorite of some of y'all. At least Trump had us going independent oil. We had fuel independency. And the first thing Biden did was end that. And now he's having to go around begging all these countries to make more fuel so we can get more fuel. When we got the fuel and we can't get it out of the ground. Excuse me. God gave us fuel to use, and we can't because some do-gooders are afraid it's going to ruin some animals' grounds that they repopulate from. They don't want us because it's going to hurt the environment. The environment has been here for at least 12, 18,000 years. I'm not one of these that believe we've been here billions of years. I've never believed that. And I will tell you, I'm strictly for the Bible. And the Bible, the only thing I will say about the days that will affect the years is that the first 6 days may have been 1,000-year days. Because a day in heaven is 1,000 years. And if God created the world in 6 days, that may have been 6,000 years, then he took 1,000 years off. Why can't we have a vacation? Why can't we have a weekend that long? I wouldn't mind working 5,000 years and taking 2,000-year days off. But anyway, so it's down there. Drill, get it out, use it. So Don't mess with. The third thing is families are hurting down here, and they are doing more and more to hurt the family by charging more taxes. They say they're only going to charge the rich and those only making $400,000. But when it comes down, you start taking their money, that's going to drive prices up, and the public is going to pay for the extra bills and the extra taxes. Companies not. We are. That's the way the economy works. That's the way the free market system works. You have a price that you sell for that you can make money for. Now, when the government raises the price and you start making less money down here, you're going to raise the price until you meet the government's quota of taxes. It's not that hard to understand. And then Congress wants to come in, well, they can't do that. That's bad. No, it's bad that you're raising taxes, spending on stuff that we don't know nothing about. Tell us what you're spending it on. Show us why you need the money. We don't want to just give you the money lickety split. I remember when the health bill passed. And you know what Nancy Pelosi said? Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big Nancy Pelosi fan. I'm not a Mitch McConnell fan either. I think everybody in D.C. ought to be arrested and tried for treason. But, that's me. But Nancy Pelosi said, well, we can't know what's in the bill until we pass it. What kind of stupidity is that? What if the bill gave Alaska back to Russia? We wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that because they hadn't read the bill yet, because they ain't going to read it until they pass it. Sometimes I think we're living in an episode of Star Trek that was called The Naked Time, where everybody got infected with the disease and they all went crazy. This nation has gone absolutely bonkers. Your Congress has gone absolutely bonkers. Your president, he was bonkers before he was even elected. He's gotten worse since he's been in there. He can't even find his way off stage. A 12-year-old had to lead him off stage. I'm not even sure he knows what's going on. But anyway, Congress, get your act together. Let's get this debt under control. Let's get spending under control. Stop spending money on every little project that you want to go to your state. Put the United States first. Put the people first. Don't put the party first. You bunch of idiots. If I could, I'd probably spit in all of y'all's faces. But since I don't know you and I probably won't ever meet you, I won't get that opportunity. But know that if I could, I would. Besides, I'm an old man now. What are you gonna do? I'm a crippled up old man. What are you gonna do? Throw me in jail? Well, so much for that. Well, we've talked about the Chemical League. We talked about Congress. Well, my little doubt. We talked a little bit about taxes. Balloon Gate is still going on. We've shot at least 3 or 4 balloons down. We haven't recovered nothing. Oh, it's too hard to get them right now. We're going to get them later. No, don't you get them later. If they're from China, I promise those freaking Chinese are coming over and they're going to take it before we get a chance to find it, which I think is what they're trying to do. They don't want to deal with them, so they're going to let China have them. They're trying to sneak them out of here. Now, we finally came to our senses, and China's not going to be buying land next to a military base. That had to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard in the first place. Why would you let your number one enemy buy land property next to a military base so they can sit there and spy on you? Thank God somebody came to their senses over there. Must not have been anybody from the government because none of the government people have sense. That's why your ratings are so low in the polls because you all act stupid because you're for the party and not for the people. Parties didn't elect you, the people did. And one of these days, I promise you, the people are going to rise up. You don't believe me? You look at January 6th. That wasn't no insurrection. That was the people rising up because so much of what you do is done in the dark. Bring it out to the light. If it's on the up and up, then you shouldn't have any problems doing that. But you know what? Y'all so crooked that y'all can't do that because as soon as we see what's going on, we're going to throw your butts in jail. You don't get elected for us anymore. You get elected for yourself, and then you do everything in the world to stay in power. And then when we don't keep you in power, then your cronies are going to come after us. That's why you want to hire all these IRS agents. It ain't to keep an eye on those making over $400,000. You think we're all stupid. You're coming after us. You're coming after all the Trump supporters. You're coming over after all the Republicans, or at least the Democrats are, and the Republican Party that's supporting it, they're going to come after the Democrats. Before you know it, you're going to try to put all the people in jail. Are you going to make it to where all the people have to rely on you for our lives? That's what this health bill is. You want us to rely on you, and you want to make all the decisions about our health. Why don't I want to go to socialized medicine? Because I'm 60 years old and I'm becoming part of the senior citizen, and y'all don't want the senior citizens around because they use too much of the medical. You don't want to keep the sick people around because they use too much medical. You want to control the population. Yeah, I believe that's what COVID was about. I think y'all released it so you could kill all the old people, and it just got out of hand. Can't prove it. Because if you go against science, if you go against Fauci, you go against science. If you go against science, then they're going to shut you up. They're going to run you out of business. They're going to run you out of America. We've had 2 doctors come up with cancer treatments that were effective long before now. What happened? They were ran out of the country. Uh, God forgive us. I don't even think we deserve to be a country now. We let you yahoos ruin us, and then you're going to pay. Then you're going to punish us because we didn't vote for you. Which brings us to the religious part. Let's talk about what the church has gone through for the last few years. If you're still listening, I'm sure by now some of y'all shut this off. And if Facebook lets this on, I'd be surprised. But the church has gone through a lot of changes over the years. We were doing good in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then came the 60s. And you had the hippie generation. Turn on generation. Get high generation. The love generation. Make love, not war. Well, y'all made love. And you got pregnant. And then you started killing babies. You started abortions higher at higher and higher rates, and you went to court and you got it passed that the government could control abortion. With the case, the party never should have been decided the way it was because there is no constitutional right for abortion. Uh, Roe v. Wade was bad law when it was passed, and it just now got fixed. And everybody got mad because they were afraid the Congress was trying to take away your rights. You Christians are some most evil people that ever lived. You won't let us do what we want to. You won't let us kill our unborn babies. Okay, you can have abortion. That's fine with me. It's going to surprise a lot of people. But let's not stop there. Let's have post-birth abortion. Post-birth abortion. Once the baby's out, you should still have the right to kill it anytime you want to, from the time it's born to the time it's 18 years old, and get away with it. If you can prove to me when a woman gets pregnant, it's not going to be a human, then I will support abortion. But you know what? 100% of the time, when you get pregnant, it's going to be a human being. It's got rights. They've got rights. It's not a fetus. Oh, that's a big medical term for it. But it's a baby. It grows into a baby. Babies grow into adults. Adults work. Now that we've killed off all of these babies since the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, we don't have nobody to work anymore. We've killed off all of our workforce. Oh, we got to let all these people in so they can come and do the jobs that we can't find anybody to do. Well, you can't find any of them because you done killed everybody. That's all I'm going to say about that. Supreme Court, thank God for them. They got the decision right. It should be a state by state decision. It should not be federal decision. Federal should have nothing to do with the people. Now you control our health now, for the most part. Well, in the 70s and 80s, the church went through some other difficulties. And these difficulties were brought on by our own stuff. Because you had priests and you had preachers and you had ministers that was doing bad things to children. Do they need to be called out? Do they need to go to jail? Yes, they do. I will be the first one to vote guilty on the jury, and I will lock you up for the maximum penalty for it. If it's life, you better believe I'm going to give you life. You don't want me on your jury if you've hurt a kid, because I will put you in there, and I will try to fix it where you will never get out. And that's my human side. I'm not even as bad of what God's going to do to you when you go to heaven or go to hell in this instance. Because if you don't get forgiveness for it and you die, he said it's better for a millstone, and a millstone was a huge, heavy rock to be wrapped around your neck and thrown into the deepest lake. Now, if that's the best that you can hope for when you die, what is your real penalty going to be? I will tell you that you will burn in hell. No, there won't be no annihilation. Everybody's teaching annihilation now. The soul is not annihilated. The soul will burn forever. You will be placed in a body that will be meant to be burned forever. We also had heterosexual and homosexual problems in this world. I'm not going to single out one over the other. If you're sleeping with somebody and you're not married, you're wrong. If you're having an affair and you're married, you're wrong. If you look at another woman and even think about having an affair, you're wrong. If you even think of another woman, you're wrong. Once you are married, you stay loyal to your wife and you don't go running around. You don't go looking around. If you can't do that, then don't get married. Uh, Another thing that's hurt the church has been COVID. People found out they didn't need to go to church. We were forced to call church off. Everybody talks about the First Amendment protects you from Christians. Well, it's supposed to work the other way around. We're supposed to be protected from the government. The government had no right to tell us not to go to church. The government had no right to tell us we could not meet. If we want to meet, we should have been allowed to meet. Evidently, some of the courts agree with us. But that being said, that's not the main issue that hurt the church. The main issue that hurt the church is that some churches started broadcasting on YouTube and the internet. Now that's going to cause a problem for the church. Well, how is that going to cause a problem? More people can hear you. Well, yeah, more people can hear it. That's a good thing about it. But the bad thing about it is you're going to have people become shut-ins. People are not going to want to get up, get dressed, and go to church when they can just go touch a button and the church comes to them. It's never meant to be that way. Church isn't just a building. Church isn't just people getting together. A church is a refueling stop. It's a gas station for Christians. It's salvation for non-Christians. When your tank gets empty during the week, you can go to be with your fellow believers. It ain't a social club. A lot of y'all treat church like it's a social club. That's why nothing's getting done. The only place the revival is coming to right now is Kentucky because they got it right. Because they're not a social club. They are a church that's looking to save souls, to feed souls, to water souls. Not just to sit around in your different little cliques and then just stare at new people that will come walking in. Church wasn't meant just for the good people. Church was meant for the hookers. Church was meant for the drug dealers. Church was meant for the lowest people in the community. Some of y'all haven't reached out to the community in years. I know because I was a member of a church and we were that way for a while until we got a good pastor that taught us what the Bible really meant. Brother Jim Everidge, if you're out there and if you happen to hear this, brother, thumbs up with what you did for us. We took a church that was running about 30, 40, 50. And at the highest point of under Jim's ministry was up to 2,000. Did Jim do it? No. What Jim did do it. He spread the gospel through the town, and it brought people in. We had people get saved. We had drug dealers get right. We had alcoholics get right. We had hookers get right. We had hookers that went down whores to the floor, and when they come back, to come up women and ladies. You don't believe me? You talk to anyone that was going to Robin Wood Baptist Church during that time. You talked to Iris Blue, who was, I think they said she was a hooker, and she's now her and her husband now go preaching the gospel. There was a lot of people that come out of the gutters at Robinwood that went into evangelism. Am I saying all of them were saved? No, probably not. Most of them were, yes. But you go back to that verse, you go back to that scripture, and Jesus says that not everybody that calls me by my name knows me, or I know him. And when they stand before God, and they everything they did was for show, God's gonna say, "Depart from me, I never knew you, even though you did all those things for me. I don't recognize them because you never really believed in me." That's why it is so dangerous for some of these people. I have trouble with, I'll be honest, I have trouble with television preachers. I especially have problems with if you're a true Christian, God wants you to be wealthy. He don't want you to be poor. Jesus was poor. Jesus suffered. Jesus died. Jesus rose from the dead and went home. Wasn't no wealth. Disciples only had one pair of clothes on their back when they went out, two by two. Uh, the church is hurting now. But the Bible says there will be a great falling away before the end of time. And the churches are falling away. We are no longer the number one religion in the world. Islam is. More people are converting to Islam than they are to Christianity. And that's a crying shame. America is now the number one place to go for missionary work. Once again, that is a sad place to be in. And the only place that's getting it right now is Kentucky, because they're still having revival meetings out there. People cannot get enough of God. When you get tuned into God, you can't get enough of Him. I can't get enough of the studies I do and put on Facebook about the end of time, because God is getting ready to close, getting ready to open up the door and pull the church out of here, because things are getting kind of creepy for the church. Even the government is starting to turn on the church. Now, me and a friend of mine named Steve up in New York, we argue this point. And Steve, if you're out there, how you doing? Is that AOC, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I've read it, reread it, and I've read it again, what she wrote on Twitter. Basically, in my opinion, called, and it's like I say, you may have a different opinion. Steve has a different opinion, and that's fine. We all have opinions, and everyone's welcome. This is America. God bless America for that. In my opinion, she basically called all Christians fascist. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. And some of you feel she didn't. That she was only comparing it to fascism. Well, that, to me, that is just as bad. We've already had one court, the Ninth District, declare some of the Bible as being hate speech because it speaks against homosexuality. It's gotten so bad that the Queen James Version of the Bible was written that eliminates all those verses. We are blamed, and I'll take the blame for this. I think if you got to blame anybody, blame me. Come after me. We were blamed for the election of Donald James Trump. And I will be the first one to admit, yes, I voted for him. I'd vote for a yellow dog if the yellow dog wasn't a politician. I will not vote for a politician. And when I do vote for a politician, I have to hold my nose and grit my teeth and pray to God I'm sorry that I'm voting for this man. To me, voting isn't fun anymore. Voting is below my dignity now. Because there ain't nobody worth voting for. You're all just scum. Now, there's some that's higher than scum, but not many. So now the government is starting to turn on the church. They've started telling us when and how we can worship. Or at least they did during the COVID. Houston got so bad at one time, their mayor demanded every church turn in their outlines for the next Sunday's church meetings to be sure that they were in line with what they thought the churches should be teaching. Of course, most of the churches said no, and one church said, well, if she would bother to read them, we would do it. And once again, it went to the courts, and the court said, no, the government can't do that. But you know what? That time is coming. The rapture to pull the Christians out is not going to be just to separate us from y'all. The rapture of the church is going to be a rescue mission. Because things are going to start getting so bad down here that the church is going to have to be pulled out. And once the church is pulled out, we're the only thing that's holding back what's coming. And when we're gone, it's going to hit the fan. And your government is going to tell you, oh, it's global warming this, it's global warming that. It's because we waited too long for the Green Deal. And the Green Deal is going to be in place. And by the time all 21 judgments hits, the Green Deal is going to be dead. And you're not going to have anything. And that's why the last war is going to be fought on horseback, because all of your solar cars and electric cars are not going to be useful anymore. And you won't have nothing to replace them, so you're going to have to go out on horseback. Now, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to preach anymore. I'm just telling you how it is and why things the way they are. Church is probably as much the fault of its own as the government is and as the people are. The church has never recovered from the sex scandals. Anyway, if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave in the messages below. Remember, keep it classy, not trashy. If you don't mind and you like what I've got to say, hit that like button down there. Tell your friends about it. Send them my way. Let's get them subscribed. If you didn't like it, hit the like button. Tell somebody you don't like about me. Let them waste their time listening to me. Uh, Subscribe. I like subscribe people. Chat among yourselves. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.